Let's go ahead and begin. Looks like we're right on time for the demo, but thank you everyone for joining today's session. We appreciate everyone for taking the time to learn how to use a desktop platform. Today, we're going to be covering the various features of the charting software, and we're certainly excited to show you the tools that might help you with your technical analysis, okay? Just some quick housekeeping rules. If you have any questions throughout the session, feel free to ask, but if you can direct them in the Q&A section. Our team are going to respond to you shortly, but we have a pretty large turnout today, so I want to make sure your questions do get answered and not just get lost in the chat. Let me minimize this. All right, if you can see my screen, this is the chart layout on the platform. So to get to this screen, you want to press on this little icon right here below the positions, trade, and activity tabs. So let's just start off by reviewing some basic information. At the moment, we're looking at a one-day year-to-date chart on Tesla. If we want to search for different ticker symbols, all you have to do is left-click on the current active symbol at the top. Right now it's on Tesla, but if I type in AAPL and hit enter on my keyboard, you'll see the chart update accordingly to Apple. And if you don't know the ticker symbol, you can also type in the company's name. For example, if I type in Salesforce, you'll see that CRM will populate from the search results and we can select it. So that will update accordingly as well. Let me go ahead and remove this drawing. And then if you want to adjust the zoom levels on your charts, we have a little magnifying scroll wheel here that you can move left and right. So if I move this towards the right, it will get a little bit bigger. Move it back to the left, a little bit smaller. If you're using a mouse with a scroll wheel, you can also move it up and down, and that will slowly adjust the zoom or magnification on your charts as well. And you may also notice this little menu that pops out when I move my cursor over some of these candles and where it's positioned. So if I just leave it right here at one of these candles, it'll give us some quick information about where the price action opened, the high and low, and where it closed for that day. And you might also notice these vertical lines on the charts here and the dates below them. So this might be relevant for any option traders out there. It just shows us the monthly expirations or any upcoming monthly expirations. Next, you can see that probably on the right side, the candles are very close. So if you wanted to try to analyze future price projections on where you think the underlying might be at, you can actually update the expansion area. So what you want to do here is click on the chart icon for the chart settings, actually. If you open up this menu, you'll see that the right margin expansion area is currently set at 5. But if I update that to 30, for example, hit enter, you'll now see that the right side panel is much more space for you to look at any future price projections, okay? And we're actually going to dive a little bit deeper into the chart settings in just a few moments. Now, if you haven't already, you may want to create a watch list because it's going to be a little bit more efficient to flip through different charts. Because once you have the symbols on your watch list, you can simply left click on them and it will update to that ticker accordingly. So if you look to the left, I have all these different ticker symbols in my watch list. If I click on Apple, Ford, or Shopify, it's going to update to that ticker symbol accordingly. By default, we do have some watch lists already available in the platform. So if you look at this little drop-down menu below the word watch list, we have some Tasties, watch list, earnings, dividends, crypto, whichever you're looking for. If you want to see what Tom is trading, you can hover your cursor over Tasty and go all the way down to Tom's watch list. And you can see all the different tickers that maybe he's taking a look at. Let's go back to the demo one. If you want to know how to create a watch list, you can click on our little help center icon, which is right here, the little question mark icon. Once you left click there, it's going to bring up our help center, and you can type into the search bar any keyword. In this example, you can type in watch list, and then we have an article on how you can create a watch list right here. Go ahead and clear that out. In general, if you have any questions, you can type it into the search bar in the Help Center, and we should have a detailed video article to explain on how to use that feature or function in the platform. Okay, well, let's go back to the platform. For anyone who primarily trades stocks or future contracts, we do have a pretty unique feature on the charts. Once your order is routed, the trade will display directly on the charts, and you can make adjustments to the order directly from the chart screen. For example, let's say I want to buy any shares of Shopify. I can simply left click on the bid or ask and the quote at the top here, or on my watch list. So for example, if I left click on the quote I see under the ask, it's going to take us directly to the trade screen. It's also going to show us an options chain, but we're going to ignore it for now since we're just trying to buy some stocks. And if you notice the order details at the bottom, it's going to show us that we are buying shop stock. The middle panel is where we can make adjustments to our limit price. And then we can change it from a limit to market order if we need to at the bottom there. So let's just go ahead and route an order for Shopify. I'm going to try and get it below where the current price is at the moment, maybe at 47. If I wanted to change it from limit to market, above review and send, I can click on this drop-down menu and change it to a market order. But since we're in the extended hour sessions, I do have to route it as limit, change it to extended for extended session. Let's click review and send. Once I click review and send, this is my second opportunity just to make sure this is the order I want to place, one share of Shopify, and let's send that order. So now that's working. So let's go back to the chart tab. Again, it's below positions trading activity. If you left click on this icon, you will see that our order at 47 is working right here, represented by this dashed yellow line. And the cool thing about the chart future is I can make adjustments to this order directly on the charts. So if I want to be more aggressive with my working order, or if I want to move it a little bit lower to get it for a bargain, all I have to do is left click, hold, and drag this order up and down, and it will adjust the order accordingly. So let's say if I move it lower, you may notice in the top left, it just updated to 45.64 where I moved it to. But if I want to get filled or be more aggressive, I'll move it slightly higher. And there we go. We got filled at 48.80. And now this line shows us exactly where we got filled at, right here. So this also works for stop losses and bracket orders as well. For example, now that this order has been filled, if I go back to the positions tab, let's find those Shopify shares right here, that one share that we bought. If I set a stop loss or bracket order, it will also show on the charts and allow us to make any adjustments as well. So to close out or set a stop, I'm going to right click on the Shopify shares, select close position. You notice that in the bottom left, instead of buy, it now shows sell because we're setting up a sell order. And now above review and send, we're going to change from limit to maybe a stop limit order. So maybe I want to stop out if the price drops down to 47. That's where I want it to trigger. And maybe to account for some slippage, I want it to fill at 49, 46, 95. Whoops. And then click review and send. Again, my second opportunity to make sure this is the correct order. Let's change it to EXT, where it has to be a day order for this. Hit send. Now let's go back to the chart tab, and you can see that our stop order is working right here. So this can be super helpful because later when we add in some indicators and drawing tools to do some technical analysis, it's good to know exactly where our entries are directly on the charts and where our risk management areas are all on one screen. So you don't have to flip-flop back and forth. Everything is on one screen. And remove this drawing. Now let's take a look at some of the charts functionalities and settings in a bit more detail. We first have an indicator library right here. So if I left click on this indicators box, it's going to bring up our indicators library. And you can scroll through to see all the different indicators that we have. But there's also a search bar here for you to type in that indicator's name. So for example, if I want a simple moving average, I can type in SMA, and you'll see it right here. If I want a VWAP, I can type in volume weighted average price, and it'll also populate right here. So let me get out of here. To the right of that, we have the time frame selection. So at the moment, we have a 1 day year-to-date chart. But if you click on the drop-down menu, you'll see all the different time frames that we have. So any day traders out there, and you want an intraday time frame, maybe you want a 30-minute time frame, or even a 5-minute, you can adjust it accordingly, and also the look back period here to the right. To the right of all of these time frames, you will see the type of charts that we're currently on. Right now, it's just a traditional candlesticks, but we also have, if you want to look at a line or bar graph, you can adjust it accordingly. We have Fibonacci candles. And we also have tick charts for anyone that want to look at different ticks. So if you notice, once I change to the ticks, if you go to this little drop-down menu, instead of time frames, we have different ticks values, and you can adjust that accordingly here as well. So let me go ahead and clear this out. Now we're going to go back into chart settings in just a moment, but if you look at this menu here, when I move my cursor around where it's positioned in any of these candles, it shows us where the open, high, low, and close are. But sometimes it might cover up the candle that you're looking for and be invasive of where you're trying to do your technical analysis. So let me change this back to a regular bar chart. But if I change it to the very first setting, for example, you'll now notice that all that information is on the top left. So if I move my cursor over any one of these candles now, it's not going to show that or cover up any candles. It's just simply in the top left for us. So just some customization that you may like. Let me clear out this drawing. Now we also have different settings. So let's go back in there. At the moment, if you click on themes, we're on dark mode. But if you're having trouble seeing any of the colors or you want better contrast, you can click on light mode. And this will adjust the background to a white screen. So depending on what you're looking for, if it's hard to see, you can change the light mode to custom and choose a custom background. I'm going to keep it on dark mode for this moment in time. If you go to sessions, you can put on extended hours. So if I have extended hours on and switch to maybe intraday time frame, let me change to a better ticker symbol, maybe Tesla. It will show the after hours price action for Tesla as well. But if I turn off the extended hours, you're now going to see all these different price gaps from when it opened and closed. So some people, they want to analyze the extended hours, some don't. That's completely up to you where you want to keep this checked or unchecked. We also have events. So if you check the earnings or dividends, if you check the earnings or dividends, it will show directly on the charts where you can expect upcoming earnings or dividends to report as well. That's all here. And then if you go to other settings, themes. Yeah, it looks like we covered most of the settings in here already. So yeah, just play around with this and see what you want to customize based on how you want to look at the charts. Okay, let's go ahead and close this out. Now, lastly, on the very right side, we have the drawing tools. So if you click on this drop-down menu, you're going to see that you can draw different trend lines, price levels. We have Fibonacci retracements, extensions, whatever you're looking to do. So let's just draw a price level, for example. Maybe change this to Google. I think they just reported earnings yesterday. Yeah, that's a pretty nasty chart, but let's draw a price level. Maybe we want to see when Google crosses back above 130. Let's drop it right there. Now, anytime you want to customize any drawing tools that you have, all you have to do is double click on it. It's going to bring out this little settings menu. So here you can adjust the width if you want that line to be a little bit thicker, maybe 3. You can change the color. Maybe we want a nice neon green line, and then just exit out. And if we click on that price level, it'll show us that the price level is set at 130.05. If we want it exactly at 130, double click, go to the coordinate side and change it down to 130. And it'll move it exactly there for you. Let's maybe draw a Fibonacci retracement because we certainly have that as well. If we want it from this low to this high, we can draw it right here. So now you can see that it's a Fibonacci retracement. It'll show you the 50, 61% level. If you want to see the levels and the price, you can double click on the Fibonacci. It'll bring up the little settings menu and then just select prices. And it'll show you all the different prices here as well. To remove any drawings, there's a couple ways to do that. So for example, if I don't like this price level on this green neon line, I can either right click and do remove drawing, or I can double click on it. It'll bring up this little menu again. And in the bottom right corner, I can just do remove drawing. So let me clear out that arrow. Double click on it, remove drawing, and now it's gone. For Fibonacci, I'll just right click, remove the drawing. It'll ask us if we're sure, hit yes, and now that is gone as well. So anytime you want to customize a drawing, just double click on it, that little menu will pop up. And if you want to remove it, same thing, you can double click on it, or you can right click on the indicator or drawing tool and you'll remove it that way as well. In the top right corner here, you're going to see save and load. So after you added all the indicators and customize the charts to your liking, it's always a good idea to save your charts. The platform should automatically save all your indicators and drawings, but just as insurance, good idea to save it. And it's also useful because if you trade with different indicators or different layouts, you can load different ones into your chart, so you don't have to spend time removing, adding them back. And also, if you maybe trading with some friends, you can share your charts as well. So you can save that file to your computer, send it over to them, or maybe they can send you something, and you can hit load and upload their indicators into your charts. Okay, but let's add some indicators here just as an example. Let me clear this out. Let me switch the time frame back to a 1 day year to date for Google. Let's change it back to Tesla, actually. And now we're going to left click on the indicators. Let's add in first a moving average. So again, SMA. To add an indicator over, you can either double click once you found it, or you can click on add selected here at the bottom once you found it. Whoops, let me open back the library. For now, I'm just going to double click. And now I added an SMA. Now, by default, simple moving averages has a look back period of 9. But let's say I wanted a 200-day moving average. I'll type in 200 on my keyboard, hit enter. And now this will adjust to a 200-day moving average. If I want to customize the color and the width, I'll go over to style, maybe change the width to 3. Let's make this one purple. And now we have a simple moving average, 200-day simple moving average on the chart. Let's add some oscillators on here. Maybe we want a TTM squeeze. So let's add in the squeeze right here. And maybe we want to see some volume as well. That might be some relevant information, volume. Like that. So you can see that the oscillator and the volume chart are kind of invasive of the main analysis of the charts, of the candlesticks. So you're going to see all these horizontal lines in the middle of the charts right here and right here. You can left click, hold and drag these up and down. It'll make them slightly smaller. So if I don't want volume to be so high, I can move it down. I can move this TTM squeeze a little bit lower as well. And this way we can see more of the candlesticks. Another cool feature is if you want to see the volume directly on the candlestick chart, you can drag the indicator directly on there. So you see where it says volume here. If I left click this, hold it and drag it into the primary chart, you will now see that the volume is directly on the charts. So now maybe that'll clean up the view that we're looking at like this. So you can see the volume as the price is accelerating, or volume coming in if there's heavy selling pressure coming in as well. Okay. Now, another cool feature we have is something called tastycharts. But let me remove these drawings first. If you look at this icon here, it will have 4 squares. For anyone who's trading on multiple screens, this will be really useful. So let me change this chart to Tesla. Maybe have this one in Tesla as well. And then you're going to see this little arrow. This represents that you can pop this out. So if I left click on this arrow here, we're going to get tastycharts to pop out, and I can move this to a secondary monitor. Someone's asking, how do I move the volume back to a lower window? So same thing, just hold and drag it. So my apologies, let me go back to the other charts. Where it says volume here in the top left, now that it's in the main chart, I can just drag it down. So now it's separated, okay? But let's go back to the tastycharts. And let me pop that back out again. So again, if you're using a secondary monitor, you can move this over to another screen. So maybe you want to look at charts on one side and do your trade execution on the primary screen. And right now I have a 2x1, but this, depending on your screen real estate, if you make this a little bit wider, or if you full screen it, you can do like a 2x2. So this way you can maybe look at different time frames on the same underlying, or just multiple underlyings at once. So tastycharts is really useful for that. And same thing as the functionality on the primary charts, you can still adjust the look back period, the time frames, add indicators, but instead of it being horizontally, it's on the right side panel vertically like this. And can I show where to adjust the cursor data box goes? Yep. Let me get out of tastycharts. Let me pop it back down. Back to the primary charts. So if we look at this drop-down menu here, again, depending on where my cursor is positioned, you're going to see where all the data points are. But again, if I hover my cursor here, you can see how it's blocking out like 10 candles. If I click this drop-down menu, maybe select the first icon, it'll bring it out to the top left. This way, it's not covering up any single candlesticks. I can still see the price data, and it just might be a cleaner way to look at everything. Go ahead and clear out the drawings. Now, next thing is grid mode. So if I go ahead and go to this icon, trade tab, and then I'm going to click on grid mode right here. So grid mode is pretty cool. This allows us to trade directly on the charts as well. So let me go back to Shopify right here. So this shows us our Shopify trade, right? We have that stop loss in there. We bought it at 48.80. This also allows us to pop out to another window. So if I want to bring this to another screen, I can certainly do so by clicking on the arrow right here. So this will pop out grid mode to another screen. And so maybe I want to bring this to a secondary screen, do another trade on the primary screen, however you like. You can trade in grid mode, trade directly in tastycharts on one screen, and execute your orders on the primary screen, however you like to do it. It's all here. Okay. Now I want to show you one of my favorite features about the charting package that we offer. Let me close out of here. I'm going to switch back to table mode. And let's just look at an options chain for Tesla. So one thing we offer is you can look back at the price action of any option premiums, historical option price data. So if I want to look at the October 27 expirations, for example, and we want to see how this 215 call has been trading. So whether it's a call or put, all you have to do is right click on it, and you're going to see a function that says view option in chart. If I left click on view option in chart, we can now see how this specific 215 call for October 27 has been trading. If you want to see how it's done for today, maybe switch it to an intraday time frame. Let's change it to maybe 2 days. So this is how the premiums have moved for this option contract. So at some point, it was up above at all the way at $9, and now it's all the way down here at 238. Maybe it will do a mean reversion back to 493, who knows, but it's just some good data that you may find useful depending on what you're looking for. So this is the view option in chart function. Right click on any call or put, and it'll bring you directly to that chart. Okay. All right, so I want to pause there. Let's see if you guys have any questions about some of the chart tools that we covered, or addressing any questions or concerns that you may have. How to get back to grid mode. Yeah, I can show you that. Clear out the drawings. So grid mode allows you to trade in the charts. So you would click on trade. And then you're going to see all these different trade modes at the top here: table, curve, grid. And once you left click on grid, it'll take you to the grid mode. And again, you can pop this out to another window if you want, so that you have it on one screen and execute your trades on another as well. That's completely up to you. Are you able to right click on the chart and trade that way, or just manually? You do have to, you can on the grid mode trade directly on the charts, but if you're looking at the primary charts here, you first have to execute the order and then it will appear onto the charts. For example, I worked that stop loss for Shopify. Let me go back to a daily time frame here. Do a year to date. So once I routed that stop loss for Shopify, you can see the working order here to stop out at 47 if the price gets there. And it shows us where we got filled at 48.80 as well. But you can also confirm this in activity. It's just that when you're in the charts and market's moving fast, it might help just have everything all on one screen. Can I show how to change SMA? Yeah, absolutely. So right now, this purple line is a 200-day moving average. If I go back into indicators right here, this will bring up our indicators library. So the current indicators will show on the right side right here. This is everything that I have on right here. Maybe remove volume and squeeze just so we can focus on the simple moving average. At the bottom, you're going to see where it says length. So 200 days is where I'm looking back. If I want to do 50, for example, just type in 50 and it'll adjust accordingly. If maybe I want to add in a second moving average, I'll type in estimate, add another one. Maybe I want to change this one to 21, hit enter. And then you can also customize the color as well. Just click on style. I'm going to change the width to 3 so we can visually see it very well. Maybe change it to a yellow line. So now you have a fast and a slow moving average all on your charts, multiple moving averages. What other questions do you guys have? Can you trade spreads in grid mode? Unfortunately, grid mode, you can trade futures and stocks, but you wouldn't be able to do any options or option spreads directly in grid mode or the charts. Do we have paper trading accounts? No, that trade that I placed in Shopify here at 48.80, it was a real trade. It wasn't simulated. So we don't have any simulated accounts. Any trades that you do here, it is a live trade. But you can leave your account unfunded just so you get familiarized with all the different tools that you have. And once you're comfortable, you can fund the account and do any trades that you like. Your indicators display on the top left. Is there a way to disable that? Let me see. If you're talking about this here, it just simply shows you which indicators you have on, just so you kind of visually know that you have a 50 and a 21-day moving average on there. Yes, there will be a recording of this. So everything we reviewed today is going to be posted to our YouTube channel. So we'll drop a link in the YouTube channel in the chat. So in a couple days, that video should be live for you. Can we have multi-chart options to view different tickers at the same time? Yeah, so that's where the Tasty Chart futures was highlighted right here. If you click on these 4 squares, left click on it, it'll bring you to Tasty Charts. And if you want to see multiple different windows of your charts, in the top right corner, you're going to see columns and rows. So you can, depending on your screen real estate, again, you can have more or less charts. Just full screen it. You'll probably be able to do like a 2x2 so that you can see 4 underlines at once or 4 different time frames at once. What is TTM squeeze called in Tasty? So let's go back to the indicators library. So anytime you're looking for an indicator and you can't find it, you probably don't want to scroll through like 100 or 200 different indicators. You can just type it in. So if I type in SQ for squeeze, you'll see that it will say simpler trading squeeze, and then hit add selected. And now you have a TTM squeeze right there. How do you get a bell curve chart for an option spread? So that's more so option related, but if you go to the trade tab and left click on trade, you're going to see curve for bell curve right here. Once you have your leg selected in your option spread, it'll show you here, and it'll show you the risk profile, show you profit, break-even zones, all here. So just an example, let me go to the options chain. Let's maybe use Tesla for this example. Let's go to November 3rd, next week's expirations. Maybe I'll select a 215 call and sell a 220 against it to define the risk. And now if I go back to the curve mode, you will see the red and green zones and the break-even zones as well. So that's kind of how you can use that curve mode. You can also left click on analysis here. And then it will show you deeper analysis on your spread that you selected. We actually have a Help Center article on how to use this curve in analysis mode if you're trading option spreads. So again, if you go to the Help Center, anytime you have a question, just type in a keyword here. Let's type in analysis. You'll see analysis mode overview. And we should have a detailed video, a YouTube video here that you can look at. Okay. Let's see. Any other questions you guys have? Can you load a current position into the curve? Yes. So you first want to pop out this little right side menu. You're going to see that arrow inside of that square. So if I left click on this square, you're also going to see analysis right here. And then if you click on analysis, depending on which positions you have, you may have to change the ticker symbol here at the top, but it'll allow you to select which legs you want to analyze inside the analysis tab. Yeah, John, if you're adjusting an order directly on the charts, for example, if I go back to that Shopify Let me close out this right side panel so we can see it. You're right. It's certainly very easy to maybe not route a specific order that you want. You don't get a confirmation, but to even begin adjusting the stop loss, you have to double click, hold, and drag. So before you do it, you kind of mentally want to know where exactly you want to move the price level to. Because if I drop it down to 45 and let go, you'll see that it will automatically reroute that stop loss down. And we get alerts for indicators. At the moment, we don't have alerts for indicators, but it's just based on the underlying price. So if you click on this little bell icon here, you go to alerts, but you can set multiple alerts on the same underlying. So if you see something on your indicators, maybe set different alerts so that you see as the price is getting to that threshold, you get a notification on your phone, on the platform, so that you don't miss out on managing your position. Tanny, by default, all your settings and indicators, it should save automatically. But if you notice on the top right of the chart, you can save it. And then just as insurance, you can save it somewhere onto your computer. But by default, everything should be saved for you. You don't get an email or text for those alert triggers, but if you have push notifications on your phone and you downloaded the tastytrade app, you're going to get everything notified there as well. If you need to reset your charts, just go into the main settings of the platform. So there's different ways to get to the main settings. You can go to any one of these gear icons in the platform. Once you click on it, go to chart, and then you're going to see reset to default. And then if you want to, just hit yes, and everything will be restored to default settings. So now I don't have any indicators there, just the chart and the volume there. Show me again how to get volume at the bottom and not in the chart. Sure. So at the moment, you can see how the volume is directly on here. If you see this little volume icon, that represents that we have volume up there. If I left click, hold, and drag it down, it's now separated. So that's the first way. But you can also go back into the indicators library. And then if you type in, let me remove this drawing first so it's more clear for you. If you type in volume, you're going to see two different indicators. One for main graph and then one for subgraph. So if you want it directly on the charts, click main graph, and you want it below, hit subgraph, and that will separate them as well. There's a couple different ways where you can do it. Yeah, no worries. Okay, I think I will wrap it up here. Just a quick reminder that everything we covered today was strictly for educational purposes, not financial or investment advice. But certainly thank you to everyone who took the time to register for today's demo and attending this session. I hope this was informative and give you a little bit of a jumpstart in navigating the charting package. If you have any questions about a specific feature or need help using the platform, just feel free to give our support or trade desk team a call. So any one of us can certainly walk you through this platform and we won't mind at all. So thanks again. Hope you all enjoy the rest of your night. Take care, everyone.